So let me welcome you to this first conference of Godfrey Okoye University on e-learning. Welcome particularly the guest speakers for today. On the list, we have Professor Mochino, Dr. Obiorike, the Director of Global Ethics, who will be speaking on changing the face of university education and its challenges in Africa. Welcome you, Monsignor Professor Obiorike, if you are around. Then we have again Professor Dr. Christoph Stuckerberger, the President and Founder of Global Ethics. He will be talking today on ethics in e-learning. Professor Christoph, welcome you.
Thank you.
Then we have Professor Dr. Amele Adamavi Aho Ekue, Academic Dean of Global Ethics. She'll be speaking on Let's Stay Connected, e-learning, ethics, and global knowledge sharing. I welcome you, Prof. Then we have again a very important personality, the Foreign Liaison Officer of Godfrey Okoye University, Maggie Kentert. Maggie will be speaking on prospects of e-learning. Maggie, we welcome you.
Thank you very much.
And then where Andreas, unfortunately, will not be talking because there's an issue it has to attend to, but I will give you some highlights on what Andreas will be telling us today about fundraising and e-learning. Andreas Gebauer. Then we'll have our own sister, Dr. Mary Sylvia Wachuku, the Director of Academic Planning of Godfrey Okoye University. She'll be talking on sustaining online learning in the post-COVID-19 time. Sister DP, we welcome you. Then we'll have, of course, our own Chinedu Chiboza, the ICT boss. He's going to be talking about the practical guide to online learning platform implementation. Then we'll have again, Brightspace online management platform, a team from the UK will be talking to us on one or two things, one of the two important things to share. And then that will be a conclusion. So we're going to be as fast as possible. We're not going to waste your time. We'll go straight to the point. Let me welcome you once more to this conference. It is the first of its kind in our university. So a journalist asked me a few days ago, is COVID-19 a curse from God? Punishment from God to human beings because of the sins of the world? I said, no, I do not think it's punishment. It is a challenge that opens the doors and windows to different opportunities. And the conference we have today is a confirmation that this situation has actually opened doors and windows for mankind. For the first time, we are staying so connected. For the first time, something like this is happening. For the first time, it is possible to get all categories of professors from all over the world to be online, to talk to students, to talk to all their colleagues all over the world. Christoph Stuckerberger is a guest lecturer, professor of our university. He will normally take his flight and come down to Enugu with all the challenges of Lagos and Abuja and all that, running and all that, you know, how things can be in Nigeria. But we're going to spare him the headache. It's going to be quite easy for him now to stay in the comfort of his office and deliver his lectures. Maggie will not need to be running around, you know, trying to, catch a flight to get to Nigeria. She can now decide to give us a workshop in the comfort of her office in Germany and all that. So this is the kind of window, the kind of door this situation has opened for mankind. And I want to believe that our universities will actually embrace the new situation. It's been happening quietly, using online resources and all that. And these things have been happening over the years. But the COVID-19 has drawn our attention to the importance of this, especially for us in Africa. It's going to be quite easy now for us to have access to knowledge that is available in the European world without actually allowing the professors to go through the stress of coming down to Africa. Indeed, many of them don't want to come out of fear. I know many professors who have told me, I'm not going to come because Africa is dangerous. A friend of mine, by the way, said to me, look, I'm going to be praying that they may not make you a bishop, because if they make you a bishop, I will come. But I don't want to come to Africa. So I'm going to be praying against that. But You can imagine that, this kind of thing. But now, with this kind of opportunity we have, things will get a bit easier for us all. So I would like to welcome each of you to this conference. And without wasting your time, I invite the first speaker, if he's around, to take the kickoff match of this conference.
Vice Chancellor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, first of all, greetings from Geneva and best compliments of the period we find ourselves globally in a pandemic that all of us already know has become the greatest disruption for many people in a lifetime. We are all aware that the world is being shaped by COVID-19, which is still making people face existential threats caused by environmental and unethical conduct at all levels. At globeethics.net in Geneva, our agenda is to strengthen the ethical compass, especially in education, which has become much more relevant than ever before. I'm very delighted that Godfrey Okoye University is leading what we might call one of the first e-learning conferences in that country, in Nigeria, which has been challenged by many fronts. First of all, beyond COVID, the fact of electricity that is not always reliable, the fact that many public institutions they have big buildings, big spaces, but not enough technological, innovative qualifications that will make students, for example, study online. And COVID brings it into the fore, into the presence for everybody to realize that a building does not make a university. We are also witnessing the fact, therefore, that this digital conference retains essential involvement of all those who are participants towards creating a new face for higher education institutions on the African continent, particularly on Nigeria. Allow me, therefore, to make some key points concerning the changing face of higher education institutions globally, but particularly in Africa. The first point to make is that the scope and role of education is the formation of all-round personalities. What education does for human beings is not only to impart knowledge, you can get through information, but to impart beyond knowledge many other elements of the social, the psychological, the personality, and even the soul dimensions, that we have mentors and we have models, and we become then human beings who enter the larger scope of the world to add value. Education for the university, which is like a lab, the university is there where the young student enters to find his space and orientation for a world beyond him or her. It is in the university that talent, initiative, orientation, livelihood, and above all, personal ingenuity is conceived. The university, therefore, is not just the hall. In the ancient times in antiquity, at the time of Plato and Aristotle in Egypt, a university was made up of two things. One, a library. Two, teachers. So a library and teachers make a university. A library gives you the knowledge of the past, the present, and the future. That is research potential. And then teachers help you to realize and understand that which you need. Unfortunately, in many places and parts of the world, even in rankings of universities, people understood university to mean a space. So they spent billions of dollars of naira of money to build hostels and buildings and say, this is my university. A university is not the building. A university is not the space. A university is the knowledge that helps you develop character, helps you develop ethics, helps you develop information which you need, helps you link out to a larger world beyond you, and helps you to add value in terms of the personality you have become. What is the changing face of the university in the current tense, and particularly in African situations? I would like to say that the first thing, and which is the constant basic need, is that a university is recognized and centralized within a country, within a space, within an environment as the point for development. A university is at the heart of the community. It is there where the human rational person, because a human being is known as a rational person, using the brain, using the mind, using rationality to add value, to think and to act. To think and to act means to have a compass. That compass must be an ethical compass, which includes character. So when a student goes to a university, they get a certificate at the end. And the vice chancellor signs a certificate which says, having fulfilled the requirements of knowledge and character, this person is now being awarded the title of bachelor's or master's or doctorate. But look at it, underline knowledge and character. The changing face of university globally is that universities succeeded in giving young people knowledge. It succeeded in helping them reach out to the social component. But universities did not eventually give them the models for character formation. So we have people who attend universities, but they come out not as professors, not as those who are qualified, but as people just who are like charlatans. Can you imagine the marketing of universities today? And this is something which universities must never be. Students often are then called customers. Education is described as a commodity. Universities are labeled service providers and centers of business, something like buying them cheap and selling them to the highest bidders. Teaching is not a vocation. Learning is not a sacrament. Education is all about rankings and targets. It's all about running low quality courses with no heart, no spirit, no meaning, just to get bum on seats, taught by stressed, fatigued, overworked, and not valued faculty. When it is all about delivery of the lowest possible costs, exam results are hugely inflated to keep the customers happy and not complaining. If this is what a university is, and it's happening because of an agenda where we call the neoliberal model, then we have opened the doors to the destruction of all that makes life good and worthwhile. So the changing face of the university is that a university must become that center, that place, that space where human beings, especially the young, have an orientation for life. This is where ethics comes into the center stage. The Globe Ethics Net agenda, Globe Ethics, is the largest foundation globally centered around the topic of trying to ensure that ethics integration in higher education is the way to go. Where is the life we have lost in living? Where is the wisdom we have lost in knowledge? Where is the knowledge we have lost in information? The founders of GlobeEthics.net were inspired and motivated by a deep emotional commitment and sense of responsibility to bring into the forum for global conversation the topic of ethics. So if a university in an African continent does not place ethics in the center of its activities, it will achieve something great. It may achieve, for example, the production of a lot of qualified students, what C.S. Lewis will say, ethics without education and without, education without values rather, as useful as it is, seems rather to make humans more clever devils. So we now come to the last speech, which I want to add to make sure that I don't overshoot the time. In order to solve the grave global problems we face, and we know them: climate change, population growth, environmental degradation, extinctions of species, make wars impossible and acts of terrorism impossible, but they are part of the problems we have: inequality, intolerance, racism, refugees, xenophobia, building walls between nations and peoples and the rest. We need the university, universitas, universe, where the world meets itself, to achieve that a world in crisis of economic irresponsibility, of displacement, of exclusion, of division, of inequality is addressed. So the changing face of a university is not to exacerbate just the fact of marketing knowledge. It is to integrate knowledge to serve the human being. And to serve the human being means that the challenges we face are conquerable. And this is the example of Godfrey Okoye University. There is no inhibition to integrate our ability to translate powerful motives into action. And these powerful motives need tools, and these tools are the tools of digital technology, the online technology, the face-to-face teaching models. Human experience has shown that through the learning, but especially the living of what we teach, society retains their original power for realization of their full potentials. Applied ethics will engage the various fields of knowledge, learning, research, sciences, and help them build a human ecology that leaves no one behind. This is where the changing face of a university in Africa, in Nigeria, the model of Godfrey Okoye has to lead us. And it might be very important to say as a last sentence in this context, when I talk about ethics, I talk about an acronym of 6 words, E, standing for empowerment. A university in its changing face must lead people to be empowered. T, transformation. A university must help the new student to be transformed into something better. H, holistic. Holisticism is that moment where the young, dynamic graduate comes out and is a fit for all. I, integrity. This is very, very key in university education. And integrity is not about 90% or 80%. Integrity is 100%. The last 2, C, competence. A university trains students. Can you imagine they come out of universities without competence? No. The changing face of universities must lead them to competence. And the last is S, sustainability. So when we look at ethics in higher education, it is all about that which a university must do to empower the young student and its teachers, the institution itself and its governance structures, the transformation of the institution and the global community, holisticism, integrity, competence, and sustainability. And these are not just buzzwords of the United Nations lingo. These are necessary components of the well-being of the communities we want to serve. The changing face of universities in Africa is that the university must become that model where young people go and come out to serve society. But they cannot do it without bringing government to accountability. How can you have a government that does not understand that there is no society in a modern world without educated people, where the budgets of nations give 20, 30% to all sorts of things, to armaments, to defense ministry, to oceanography, but nothing to education. Education gets 2 to 5%. Education and health must be given the largest amount. And here, university professors hold their governments to account.
Thank you.
I rest the
Thank
presentation.
you, Professor Martino Obiorike. I think that's the much we can take from you today. There's a wonderful congratulations on this beautiful lecture, especially the definition of ethics. It is fantastic. I noted it down. Thanks very much indeed. God bless you, Professor Martino Obiorike. Thank you. So next, we are taking the next person to the stage, and that is the Professor Dr. Christoph Stuckeberger, President and founder of Global Ethics. You're now on stage. You are speaking on ethics in e-learning. I invite you to the stage, Professor Stuckeberger, please.
Thank you very much, Vice Chancellor Christian Anyeke, and all present here. I see we have already 230 people. That's amazing. I feel like standing in front of the plenary where you have the tent, and in Godfrey Okoye University, now we have the 230 people around, and also with the advantage that we already have dozens of comments and in the chat. So that is the new technology which allows us. Congratulations from my side too for this organization of this webinar. As we have only 10 minutes, let me be short. I will be without PPT this time, only speaking, and you will see also a reason for that. Let me start with experience during lockdown. I think we all have now, myself already 3 months of staying at home in Zurich. Tomorrow, next Monday, I go back to Geneva to Global Ethics Net. But it's a new experience. 2.6 billion people in the world are locked down. We imagine 1/3 or almost half of humanity staying at home for months is a new experience of humanity. And I think one of the main experience in that is we discover, while being in prison, so to say, at home, we discover the huge importance of being connected and communicate to each other. And I can just continue where Professor Obiorike mentioned this importance of direct communication. I have an article from yesterday's newspaper, a whole page where it says the debate about digital education is now really on the table and with a lot of challenges. So what are the ethical challenges and opportunities of ethics in e-learning? I think the high quality of e-learning, and this webinar shows it, is a real advantage. As the Vice Chancellor of your Christian Anyeke said at the beginning, COVID is not only a big challenge, let us take it as an opportunity. I have never had so many webinars during the last 3 months. I could be constantly on webinars from morning to evening, which is also a threat, so to say, to be deviated, but it's a huge opportunity. And all of you, 235 people now online, we have a chance to be connected, to learn from each other. I take my example, my lecture at Godfrey Okoye University for 2 weeks had to be canceled. I planned to be there the first half of May. And now Godfrey Okoye asked me to come for online teaching for 2 weeks, end of February, end of June and beginning of July. How do we do it? As internet connection is not stable enough for everybody, we do it with WhatsApp. So all the 50 students in international relations and then in political science, 2 hours, and then of course we have to adapt. But these are opportunities to try out how we do. My second point is, let me share two experiences as a student and as a teacher. When I was a student, I had two experiences of controversial or contradictory almost attitudes of professors. One was a New Testament professor. He came to the classroom on the minute, he gave the lecture, he left the room on the minute without any interactions to the students and without any interaction in the break time, for example. I suffered from that because that's not the way to interact with a professor. Means no interaction. It could have been a robot to stand there to give the lecture. It was an excellent lecture, but no human communication. The other one is a professor of church history and one in ethics. We held a weekly, we called it ethics coffee over lunch. Second, this professor of ethics who organized with us every week over lunch an event where we had hot debates about ethics, invited guest speakers from outside. So interaction, as Professor Obiora Ike already said, interaction is a key in ethics education. And that leads me to my third point. I take one of the 6 characters of ethics, the I standing for integrity. Is it possible to create or to strengthen integrity or to have character education through e-learning? That was my question, and that's a question for my contribution here. Because education is not only knowledge. Knowledge we can get and information we can get often much better than through lectures. We get it through internet, through reading. But character education is a question of relation, of interaction between student and teacher and student. Also a teacher, we as a teacher can also be trained in integrity by our students. So it's a mutual learning process for integrity. So integrity education needs relation. Now my thesis is that relation can also exist through interaction online. What we do now is an online exercise which where you see me, you hear me. I can unfortunately only see and hear the other speakers, but in smaller classes it's possible. So it is possible to have a personal interaction online. So integrity needs a direct communication, and that includes to respect rules and regulations, because integrity is about honesty, is about transparency, is about curiosity, is about caring for each other, is about monitoring, is about also demanding results, is about consistency, is about being humble, and all that can also be expressed online, not only in a classroom. For example, if people join this online conference on time or not. I see after half an hour it's still increasing, so people came in step by step. Or do I deliver what I promised online? This is a question of integrity. Do I monitor if students, when I will give my online teaching in 2 weeks, if students are cheating, or do I develop the necessary tools so that exams can still be done with integrity? All these are requirements, but they are feasible online. I think one limitation of online is that online and the character education through online and e-learning is that normally it is good if we know people already and then we go online. What do we do if we don't know each other in person? So, for example, the students I will have in Godfrey Okoye in 2 weeks, I did not meet them in person, but I have all their WeChats and I have their photo on the WeChat, and I will interact with them as much as possible to compensate the absence in physical sense. So I would summarize that it is possible to have integrity relationships also in e-learning. I take an example. We had in Geneva an intern, a student from India who came to Geneva for studies, and we decided to have her for a 6 weeks internship. But when we started the first day, COVID break out, she had to rush back with her last flight to India. What do? We had an online internship for 6 weeks and it went very well. Every week we had an online communication. We had the results, she delivered the papers, we discussed the papers, all that was possible. So I would even invite the idea of why not having internships from Godfrey Okoye with Globethics in Geneva without traveling to Geneva. I think it is feasible. Just an idea for you, Christian and Jeke.
Thank you. Thank you.
With 6 points. First, online teaching allows character education. Second, it needs careful communication. Third, it needs technical preparation. Fourth, it needs creative innovation to compensate the absence, the physical absence. Fifth, it needs self-discipline and reliability on all sides. And I think that is one thing we had to learn through this COVID period. Self-discipline is so important and demanding, and especially for young people, for you students, it's not easy to learn self-discipline, but we all discover the meaning of self-discipline for life. And the last one, the technical adaptation, not only preparation, but adaptation to the needs as required. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you, Christoph. That is fantastic. Well, thank you for this beautiful lecture. Very important. We can also learn character online. That's very important. Thank you and congratulations. So move straight to the next person who will give us let's stay connected. E-learning, ethics and global knowledge sharing by Professor Dr. Amiele Damavi Aho Ekue, Academic Dean of Global Ethics. Prof, welcome you to the stage.
Thank you so much, the Vice Chancellor and the entire team of Godfrey Okoye University, as well as my esteemed colleagues. I'm very delighted to be part of this event. Let me just see if I can share the screen for the slides. So what I intended to show you before is exactly this. I have chosen this as an example for what I mean by the fabric of knowledge. It's a shirt made of a fabric at the occasion of the 1960 independence of a West African nation. And this may serve as an illustration for a kind of little tradition. I'm referring here to Redfield's great tradition and little tradition. And this can show how knowledge can be engaged with in a form of an intergenerational connection. 4 generations have worn this shirt. However, the way they engage with the topic of freedom related to independence can be really different. So this is precisely the challenge of e-learning at the intersection of the material and the immaterial, of the transmission of knowledge and the engagement with knowledge. My thesis regarding e-learning is that it needs to refocus on the pedagogical space it creates. Our current situation is like an intensifier and accelerator for the way, with whom and where we engage with knowledge. 3 key areas for refocusing the pedagogical space are important to my mind. First, that human life stands in relation to other life. Secondly, how to think outside of the mastery and dominion paradigm. And lastly, related to that, how to organize a life together based on reciprocity and vulnerability. This leads me to the rearrangement of the engagement with knowledge that takes place in e-learning. Here again, I would like to draw attention to 3 dimensions. First, space and time. There is this duality of having one shared space versus multiple spaces. Like here, we are not together in one space, but there are multiple spaces and even real spaces that are not visible to us. The same with the time, continuity and discontinuity of empirical experiences are tied into the engagement process. How do we deal with the synchronic and asynchronic layers in e-learning is likewise important. I can engage with you now, but the recording can serve at a later time for other engagements with knowledge. Secondly, it's about the nexus between belonging and becoming. In refocusing the pedagogical space, I believe that it's about being in relation and bearing at the same time the potential of change in creating knowledge with others. The third dimension is the dimension of imagination, or what I would call the future knowledge. It's about envisioning the future world differently and living with difference. And here is where the ethical inspiration comes in very clearly. I would like to unfold in my second approach how e-learning can not only be translated as electronic learning, what it actually means, but in a kind of triple E translation, 3 times E in e-learning, and I will explain what I mean. E-learning as emancipating learning around knowledge critique is my first point. In all educational enterprise, the critical reflection is the foremost important starting point. Without curiosity and inquiry, and then also the practice of this critical reflection, for example, in organizational practices such as evaluations, assessments, audits, there is no advancement in knowledge. I understand this critical reflection and practice as a non-invasive endeavor into the self and into other selves. It is secondly also about grappling with external and internal critique. Can we envisage that critique is above or beyond context, or does critique always have to be context bound? And which are the norms that govern critique? I believe e-learning is an opportunity to nurture knowledge critique in the context of and in relation to multiple contexts. And this is what the space, or shall I rather say the spaces of e-learning offer. My second point is e-learning understood as elevating learning around knowledge creation. I believe that e-learning is an opportunity for elevating learning in the sense of a life-affirming and perhaps more precisely life-sustaining perspective. Secondly, it's about creating knowledge together with others that address future-related questions or poses old questions afresh. At the heart of this inquiry is the question, what does it mean to be a human? Thirdly, it's about discovering new locations and bodies of thought and also of practice. We can think of e-learning that invites people that are not necessarily bound to academic institutions that nevertheless have important contributions to the building and to the creation of knowledge and thought. The third aspect to which I would like to draw attention is the translation of e-learning as empowering learning around knowledge sharing. E-learning is for me an opportunity for a new intellectual project on how we belong and how we can live together. It's a kind of horizontal learning, and perhaps that's the foremost challenge. How can we democratize learning so that we belong to a community of knowledge and of those who are ethically awakened? Secondly, the absence of shared physical spaces aids perhaps also in the recognition of plural epistemological spaces. We have no space that we directly share, but we all have real spaces in which we live our lives and in which we construct our knowledge about the world. And this plurality is an exciting realm for e-learning. E-learning pushes traditional boundaries of academic knowledge sharing. Some scholars propose even to move from the university to pluriversities, in the sense that they recognize the diversity of the contributions that higher educations can make to the sharing of knowledge. And I would like to end by highlighting why ethics matters in e-learning. Let's Stay Connected was the beginning of my title. Let's Stay Connected can be seen as an injunction, as another way of stating what it means to be human, namely human in relation with others. In this sense, ethics is a theoretical and at the same time practical field of experimenting with the arrangement of spaces for the discovery of learning as emancipating, elevating, and empowering in the encountering of the world. Last not least, ethics is in this sense a framework of critical interrogation and of invitation to creating and sharing knowledge with others. In other words, to imagine a different planetary existence. I would like to end with that. A few readings on which I have drawn are, just a selection of some of the current contribution in academia around the ideas that I have tried to propose. I thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Prof, for this wonderful lecture. We're grateful to you. Very interesting points. Some have been asking whether they're going to get the paper. I assure them that we'll certainly do the best we can to send the papers across to them. Congratulations on your wonderful presentation. So we'll take the next one. That's on the the prospects of e-learning. This is coming from the Foreign Liaison Office of Godfrey University. Maggie Cantor, please, you have the microphone.
Thank you very much. And allow me to stand on existing e-protocol here for the sake of time. Greetings from Germany to everybody all over the world. I saw we have people from Kenya, from South Africa, and from other places. Welcome. I'm very honored to be part of this panel, to be a pioneer once more in just yet another forum of Godfrey Okoye University. So I'm also trying to put up a presentation, which you see in a second. Yeah, here we go. So the prospects of e-learning. If we look at what the pandemic did to us, how it was enforcing sort of a global experimentation in terms of remote teaching, we have to ask ourselves, yeah, how is it going to change our way of learning and of teaching? So this, I would call it a crisis-driven experiment. How this finally will have to answer the questions like, do students really have to stay 4 years on campus? Do we need to expand our ICT resources and how? Then also, what new training requirements will there be for faculty and students? And we heard a lot from the speakers before about some of these areas, and we'll hear some more later. So how do we facilitate change of mindset and behavior according to the big change we are facing here? So allow me to have a quick look back to the past. We had some unexpected events which forced widespread experimentation before in our lives or in history. Like, for instance, the Second World War, women were forced to take over men's work. Yeah, and after the Second World War, they didn't give it back. Yeah, another example is the year 2K crisis. In as much it was not an unexpected event, but somehow it came very sudden. So we had to hire thousands of Indian programmers, which then developed to become world leaders in addressing technology problems now. So, and in as much the women after the Second World War, are now leading global banks, DAX companies, or even General Motors, Indian-born people are now leading companies like IBM, Adobe, and Microsoft. So what does that mean for us now? Now we are in this situation challenged by technical issues, by a lack of skilled personnel, and as we heard earlier, the problem of discipline of the students. We have to see how can we react to what was a slow, regular development before the shift from the industrial era to the knowledge era, which now, due to the crisis-enforced experimentation, has to become a quantum jump for us all. We need to become aware of, what are the prospects and what is the future outlook for us. So in terms of universities, yes, we can close the digital divide. We will increase the capabilities, the resources, and the knowledge and the skills in all areas of around the new technologies. We will save costs and resources. And before Mr. Chibusu and his colleagues will kidnap me next time I come to Enugu, of course, we have to invest first to increase and to make it possible. And yeah, e-learning automatically will lead to more e-administration. So at the same time, we develop the administration staff. What does that mean in terms of growth in the future? Of course, we will have more students. We will be able to facilitate students all over the world. Then long term, this can lower the cost of education and again will help to close not only the digital divide, but the knowledge and education divide worldwide. And yeah, we have to customize training of staff and students, and this is where the university are asked, to develop and have a big chance to make this experiment a blessing. Yeah. So, but what does that mean for the teachers? So for the teachers, it means they have to the transition from teacher-centered approach in the classroom to student-centered approach has to be much faster. Yeah, we have to learn very quickly how to use the new technology and how to reach the students, how to teach. Then we have to find a way with new methodologies which have to be developed to balance labs, hands-on workshops with distance experiments. How can we ensure that there's not only a knowledge transfer, but also a transfer of knowledge into practice for the students, and that be done online? So we have to also manage frustration tolerance at the students, but also, of course, our own, as we had earlier. We have to do far more mentoring, and we have to prepare for many more students. If we have hundreds or thousands of students now in our programs, how do we manage the mentoring? Yeah, and then also it's a big blessing and chance for the teachers and lecturers to learn themselves at their own speed, at their own time, having access to more education, to state-of-the-art science, and develop themselves. And also prepare the students accordingly, because business and work also requires lifelong learning today, as the knowledge turnover is so much faster. It's like less than 3 years in some areas. So we have to continuously to learn. So, and in the end, what are the prospects for the students? For the students, they have a very big challenge. They face more responsibilities in the future. They have to based on their own needs, resources, and targets, they have to find out which of the thousands of programs available they choose, what options to take. Yeah, and then the other challenge is they now have the responsibility to keep themselves motivated. There are no longer peers around. Of course, there are virtual peers, but that's a different story. And also, as studies show, and also our experience shows already, that many e-learning courses don't see all students finishing it. So the motivation to finish, the motivation to stay on has to come more than ever from the students themselves, and they need, of course, training programs to support this. This also goes for discipline. If you don't have peers around, of course, there's less distraction, which is an advantage. But on the other hand, peers can also be very motivating and challenging to stay on board. So also for more introverted students, proactively use the support when they struggle, and also get involved proactively in the forums might become a big challenge for them. So discipline and proactively use of the support structures is essential for success. And the lack of distraction, in one hand, is an advantage. On the other hand, invites more, sort of using WhatsApp, gaming, and other distractions, which are not so controlled as if there are peers around. Then again, they have to deal with disappointment and frustration, and we have to teach them much more and support much more how to do that. And then they have to be in competition now with many more students than ever before. So this healthy competition that the teachers have to give them is now for the students another challenge, because this is also cross-culture in the future. Challenge and competition is differently defined in different cultures. So we have to consider this as well. So when I wrap this up, it's yeah, if we want to not survive, but we want to proceed with this quantum jump from the industrial era to the knowledge era, we have to do our homework here. We have to analyze the effectiveness and efficiency of e-learning. We have to see the blessings, but we also have to see the disadvantages, and develop integrate tasks in terms of online content, social teaching, to see where can e-learning really replace classroom lectures, where can it supplement, and where is it not at all possible in the end. So we have to find a very good balance, in addition to the technical conditions, which are fast changing, hopefully improving, to support staff and students to adapt quickly to the new environment. And when I did this research for the prospects of e-learning, I just stumbled over one university doing e-convocations already. Can you imagine? But honestly, I can tell you one thing. When I finish my PhD in 2 years, I want a proper handshake by an esteemed Vice Chancellor, not a virtual handshake by a virtual Vice Chancellor. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks very much indeed, Maggie. That's very good. That's very good. Well, we will have to consider blending. Here, virtual world has come to stay. So we just have to see how we can blend it. You get the handshake virtually, but also physically. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you. So the next person is Andreas. Andreas is not available. He's supposed to talk on funding, fundraising, and the possibility of e-learning. What Andreas is doing is to coordinate funding in Europe for Godfrey University. Recently, he secured €2 million for the industrial park of Godfrey University, where we're going to have also an Austrian IT company that will help us actually to have a robust internet arrangement for e-learning facilities. So Andreas would have been here to talk about it, but it's not available today because of so many things he has to be coordinating. So we'll move straight to the next one, and that is sustaining online learning in the post-COVID-19 time by Director of Academic Planning of Godfrey University, Sister Dr. Sylvia Nwachukwu. Please, you have the microphone now.
Yes, thank you, Vice Chancellor. I'm happy to be here. I'm Sister Mary Sylvia Nwachukwu, Director of Academic Planning of Godfrey University. And I'm speaking on how we can sustain e-learning in higher education in Africa. My speech will revolve around two issues. First, I will look at this COVID-19 pandemic as a challenge and opportunity. And then I will discuss how we can make e-learning a culture in higher education. So I like to look at this pandemic, the challenge it is posing to higher education today, as also an opportunity. In the sphere of education, the traditional university face-to-face learning was one of the biggest casualties of the pandemic. The expected 21st century response to the closure of schools is to move all classes online, just as it happened in colleges and universities in Europe and America. And this was possible for them because there is already an online learning culture that runs alongside the traditional face-to-face model. The narrative is different in Africa. And I want to address the African response to this challenge by speaking directly of the Nigerian situation, which I think will be comparable to the situation in many other places in Africa. Now, besides the present pandemic and its challenge, there are other causes of disruption to the academic calendar. I'd like to mention particularly the ongoing fight between government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities that led to a strike action which the association says is indefinite. So our students are indefinitely at home until the problem is resolved. There is therefore a double key to the door of education that was already closed by the pandemic. So how have we responded to this challenge? Our first response must be to reframe the challenge. You know, the way one frames a problem has a powerful impact on what the person does next. So a total shutdown of higher education would imply that we are despondent and inactive. On another note, a strike action by academic university staff is a means of leveraging students to claim lecturers' rights. So we have accepted it as an act of justice. So that is why I want to bring to this discussion a statement of Vatican II's document on education. Gravissimum Educationis. Its 10th article says, the destiny of society is intimately linked with the progress of young people pursuing higher studies. This statement has established a very strong bond between societal progress and higher education. So if we now look at these present challenges from the viewpoint of students as bearers of societal development, you see these challenges might open new doors of possibilities. And this is why the biggest challenge we have now is choosing our perspective, our attitude to the challenges, especially those that disrupt the academic session. So I'm proposing that one way to solve the problem of interruption of the academic session for any reason at all is through sustaining e-learning in higher education. How can we do that? Now we know that the contemporary world is ruled by information and communication technology regime. We are in the ICT regime. Many businesses have long moved their activities online. And we are also aware that young people spend most of their time on the web in a very ordinary manner, because there they find easy ways to connect with their peers, share ideas. And I think universities, higher education must play a major role in taking advantage of the ICT regime to reshape higher education. Godfrey Okoye University, for instance, is one of the few universities in Africa that moved all teaching online a few weeks after the shutdown of schools. And this was possible because since 2018, a number of strategies were already set in motion in the university, which facilitated the transition to an online learning situation. So with the present challenge, the university has very little difficulty developing the university online platform to accommodate a lot of other learning platforms. Our teachers and students are enjoying the new experience with these technologies. Of course, there are some challenges such as skeletal supply of electricity, lack of money to buy data, we didn't plan for this, and inconsistent network quality. And these problems affect the effectiveness of online teaching. So I'm making very important proposals here in order to make e-learning a culture in higher education in Africa. First of all, the push towards e-learning must come from top management, who should transmit the culture to their staff and students. Higher education heads should be able to face the present challenge with more proactive measures, creativity and innovation, and the ability to develop new ideas that enhance education. Sustainability of e-learning also calls for need to grow a strong e-learning culture. We must admit that e-learning is not only about teaching one or two courses through a chosen social media. It is more than that. To grow a strong e-learning culture, higher education should be learner-oriented, especially when we know that young people's attraction and dependence on social networks. So we can leverage on that. To grow a strong e-learning culture, we must develop the competencies for online teaching. Competence indicates sufficiency of knowledge and skills that enable someone to act in a variety of situations. And this requires funding. It requires staff training and provision of the appropriate pedagogical tools. To grow a strong e-learning culture, we must support face-to-face learning with educational resources, online resources, and numerous technological tools that are available. And then the peak of my proposal here is to grow a strong e-learning culture. Higher education should express the freedom to allow a required percentage of e-learning courses in the curriculum. Universities who can afford it can establish an e-learning domain in their websites where experts are invited to submit online courses for students. Of course, the project must be consistent with global best practices. The advantage of this proposal is that Nigeria, for instance, runs the same curriculum. So students from any university, even outside Nigeria, can buy an online course even though it is domiciled in the website of another university. And this, my proposal, grows out of two very important reasons. First of all, this can solve the problem of interruption of the academic calendar, because it provides a way for students to continue their studies uninterrupted in cases of indefinite strikes that plague education in this country. A student might also be interested in doing an online course of a known lecturer or a lecturer of interest in order to grow knowledge. Provision of online courses can also permit a category of students with family-related problems to continue their education at their own pace. In fact, we do not know, but if any higher institution checks their statistics of student population in a year, we might be surprised to discover a very high rate of student dropout before graduation. And most of the problems usually are related to family problems. So availability of online courses can help this category of students to continue their studies at their own pace and sometimes at a cheaper price. You know, these are very beautiful ideas, but we know that the success of e-learning culture in higher education will largely depend on collaboration between universities. So dialogue is the way forward. Dialogue is an important way to collaborate. Top management of universities and colleges must come together to discuss the future of education and prospects of e-learning. Because effective collaboration between universities will encourage staff and student exchange, knowledge sharing, even sharing of facilities to reduce cost of e-learning, as more universities can pool their resources to share the cost of facilities and support staff. Now, I want to conclude my speech by saying that the proposals I have made here are in support of e-learning. They are in line with some of the goals of Department of Open and Distance Learning of National Universities Commission, which are to encourage internationalization of tertiary education curricula, to forge and sustain partnership and collaborations with appropriate institutions in the public and private sectors within and outside the country, and to ameliorate the effect of internal and external brain drain in tertiary institutions by utilizing experts as teachers, regardless of their locations. I thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thanks very much indeed. The Director of Academic Planning of Godfrey Okoye University, Sister Dr. Mary Sylvia Nwachukwu, congratulations. You've given us some food for thought. Thanks very much indeed. I would like to welcome immediately the ICT manager of Godfrey Okoye University and a group of institutions, Chinedu, Mr. Chinedu Chibozo, to talk briefly on practical guide to online learning platform implementation. Chinedu, please come on board.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you for the opportunity. But before I start, I want to use the opportunity to thank my mentor, Monsignor Biorike. I'm happy presenting alongside my mentor. And since December, this is my first time of seeing him. So it's a very big privilege for me. So without wasting much of our time, let me share my screen. So practical guide to online learning platform implementation. You know, since the COVID-19, sometimes I sit down to ask myself, is this a cause or a blessing to ICT managers? Because since then, I've not had enough sleep because everything now boils down to ICT. Everybody now turns to the ICT. Everything is now technology. If we're a dollar, it means that our value have increased. If a dollar is 400 naira, it means that ICT manager values will be 5,000 naira to $1. So this presentation is divided into two sections. So the first section is about content, about digital skills for educators, because we cannot be talking about online learning without content. Online learning is all about content. Even if you have the best online learning management platform, you need content, interactive and engaging content. So the first section, we're going to discuss about the digital skills needed by educators. So this practical guide is aimed at providing an informative planning guide that instructors, ICT managers, and school admin can use conveniently. So the question is, will technology replace teachers? That's number one question. We have artificial intelligence, we're talking about robots, we're talking about machine taking over. But the question is, will technology replace teacher? And the answer is no. But teachers who don't enhance technology accordingly will be replaced by teachers who do. Now, what are the digital skills needed by teachers? Number one, the ability to use smartphones, tablets, computers, smart and interactive board. Number two, proficiency in key applications such as Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, like the way we are zooming in now and we're having an online conference. Then Google Meet. Google Meet is a replacement for Zoom. So if you don't want to use Zoom, you can use Google Meet. Number three, the ability to use the internet for academic purposes and also business purposes, filling forms online, performing transactions online, using social media for collaboration, and also how to be safe online. You know, we have a lot of hackings going on, so it's also good to have the skills on how to be safe online, not clicking on any link. So if you're not expecting any mail from anybody, you don't have to click the link sent to you, because once you click on the link, your account will be hacked. Number four, the ability to compose, attach documents, and distribute the documents electronically. You know, there's a story when a professor in a university, I don't know the university, but this professor heard about document attachment, that it's possible to send the document to somebody abroad. The next day, the professor came to the person in charge of the ICT, brought 10 big books, said to this young man, please attach these documents to this email address. And the man now turned and looked at him. Sir, what do you mean? I heard that you can attach a document. This document, just send it the way it is to this email address. And the young man now laughed and said, sir, it does not mean you can attach a physical document to an email. It simply means that when you convert these documents electronically, you can send it online. So that's why we said documents and distribute them electronically. Number five, the ability to use cloud technologies. You know, when we heard about cloud is the same as the internet. Everything have moved online. Also, the ability to use cloud technologies to collaborate online and also to use the cloud file storage for easy accessibility. When you have your documents on the cloud, it makes it easier for you to share with others online. And also, when you have the file storage, like I said earlier, easy for collaboration and accessibility. Let's say, for instance, now, you have your documents online, and on your way to the office, you are attacked by the armed robbers, and you lost your personal computer. If you have your documents online, you're not going to be crying, oh, I've lost all my documents. But when you have them on the cloud, you just log in and get your documents. So the ability to use cloud technology is also very important. Number six, the ability to pre-record lectures, edit audio files, and create interactive and engaging video content using screen recording apps. For instance, lecturers might decide to pre-record their lectures, but if you don't have the skills, you'll not be able to pre-record your lectures and make it available online for your students. In case you don't want to teach live, you can pre-record your lectures and send it out to your students. Number seven, the use of scientific and social networking websites to connect, discover new content, collaborate, and grow professionally. Social media is not all about gossip, who is doing what. But with social media, especially LinkedIn, Facebook, and WhatsApp, you can connect with other scholars in other universities for sharing of articles and their publication. And with such collaboration, somebody might decide to sponsor your publication. One of the challenges we have is when lecturers complain that it will take them $200 to publish an article online. But when you have friends abroad that you connect with them socially, they can assist you to publish your article. Number 8, the ability to share information online in different formats, on multiple platforms, and converting documents. Some of the challenges faced today is the ability to share articles online, and also the ability to convert documents from one file to another. When you look at this diagram, we have an image. Can you convert the image to a Word document? Can you convert it to a PDF? Can you convert it to an Excel file? Can you also convert it to a JPG, which is an image file, and also to PowerPoint? So your ability to do all this will make it easier for you to share any documents online or any platform. Number 9, the ability to teach online using YouTube. YouTube is a very great platform for learning anything online. So we advise lecturers to have their own YouTube channel. I also have my own YouTube channel with almost 23,000 views. So when you have your own YouTube channel, it makes it easier for people to join even when you're not there. So imagine recording a video this month and the video will be used in the next 5 years. So you can just record your video and sit down and students are watching the video and learning online. So your ability to teach on YouTube, on Facebook, on WhatsApp, and Zoom, as I'm doing in the university, is also very good skills. And also for this to happen, you need, number 1, you need a decent recording device. Because when you don't have a decent recording device, your listeners will be finding it difficult to follow what you're saying. And also a webcam, a quiet environment that will make your online teaching experience very wonderful for your listeners. So this picture, you can see the laptop, you can see a webcam, and you can also the lightning gears and the microphone. So if you really mean business and you want to go into the business of teaching online, not just for a university, but for other learning platforms, you need these gadgets. You need these gadgets. And number 10, the ability to use e-classroom methods and technology. Some universities, like in our university, will have smart boards. And if you don't have the skills to use these smart boards, it's going to be very difficult. Because one good thing about smart board is, if you look at this diagram now, you have a virtual classroom. So when you teach in a classroom, the lecture is automatically recorded and sent to the online learning management platform. So you don't have to do a separate lecture for students online and another one for students offline. No, once you're in a smart classroom, you do your recording and automatically it will send it, it will synchronize it with the online learning management platform. So your ability to use a smart board is also very important. Now, how do we get digital skills? Everything is now online. You can get these digital skills online. You can get them for free. If you go to YouTube, you can type on any skill you want to learn. For instance, if you want to learn how to use Microsoft Word, you can type how to use Microsoft Word. If you want to learn how to use a recording app, you go to YouTube and type how to use this recording app. Then Udemy is also another platform where you can learn anything online, but you have to pay. But on YouTube, you don't have to pay anything to learn. Section 2, implementing a robust online learning platform for higher education. Now, there are a few things to consider. After my presentation, a friend of mine will be joining us from London. He's from Brightspace. So he's going to talk mainly on a robust online learning management platform. Now we have a few things to consider before you talk about online learning management platform. Number one, accessibility. How do the students, the lecturers access your online learning management platform? Do you need any particular device to enable them access the online learning management platform? An online management platform should be accessed from any mobile device, whether you're using a tablet, a smartphone, or a computer, anywhere, anytime. And number two, hosting. Where do you host your online learning management platform? Do you host it on the cloud? Do you host it in-house? Or do you host it on a shared server? But my advice is to host it on a cloud service such as AWS, Amazon Web Services, or you get your own bare metal server online and host it. Because anything that can happen to an ICT manager is supposed to be calling you and telling you that they cannot access your online learning management platform. It means that your hosting company is not reliable. But if you want to save yourself the stress, from day one, you get a reliable hosting company. It saves you the headache. Number three, uptime. An online management system should always be available online. Not 5 minutes is available, the other minutes is not available. So a robust online management system should be available at all times. Number four, user-friendly. Users should be able to navigate from one page to another without finding it difficult to click on a link or to view a page. So it should be user-friendly, whether you're on your iPhone, you're on your iPad, you're using a laptop, or you're using your desktop computer. Then number five, content creation. An online management platform should support an image, a text file, a diagram, and also be able to integrate with platforms such as Zoom for virtual classroom. So when you have an online management platform that does not give you the flexibility to create content, it doesn't make sense. The number five, assessment. One thing is to have the lectures online. The next thing is to have your exams online. Right now, we're having our second semester exams online. So without having a robust online management system, it's not possible. Now, question type. Some online management platform restricts question type. But when you have a robust online management platform, it's able to support multi-choice questions, single choice, matchmaking, picture choice, and also essay. So when you have an online management platform that handles all these question type, you don't have any problem with lecturers telling you, please, I have my questions as image, or I have my questions as a diagram, but with this, you're good to go. Then reporting. After the exams, what happens next? How do you send out the report, or how do lecturers access the report? If your online management platform does not export to Excel, PDF, and Microsoft Word, it makes it difficult for you. So you should get an online management platform that enables you to export to different formats. Now, technology support. If you have any issue with your online management platform, how soon can you get technical assistance? If you should go with an outdated technology and you run into a problem, who are you going to call to assist you? So it's also very important to you to check the technology your online management platform will be using. Number 10, flexibility and integration. Before students will be able to access the online management platform, it's assumed they have paid their fees, or if there's any other requirement before they'll be able to access your platform. But if an online management platform is not easy to integrate or is not flexible, it is very difficult for you to integrate other platforms alongside with your LMS. So if you want to integrate a payment gateway with your online management platform, if it's not flexible, it's going to be very difficult. So you have to also consider flexibility and integration. That will also give room for growth. Then two methods of implementation. Number one, you can decide to build from scratch. When you get programmers, you give them your requirements and you build from scratch. Or two, you adopt a popular LMS and customize it according to your university need. You have popular ones like Moodle, the Blackboard, the LearnDash, the one we're using, Brightspace, Google Classroom, and a lot of them. Now, LearnDash. If you're using a content management system, such as WordPress, it is easier for you to implement an online learning management platform because with a CMS, everything comes easy once you have the technical skills to integrate. So if you already have a CMS as your website, it's easier for you to integrate the LearnDash learning management platform. So because of time, I'm not going to visit the website, but you can copy the link and visit the website to know more about LearnDash. Conclusion. The practical guideline listed above shall enhance both learning and teaching experience. Online learning technology plays a pivotal role in disseminating knowledge across all parts of the society, especially during this period. And investing in sustainable, reliable ICT resources will pay off. Thank you very much for listening to this presentation. If you have any question, you can get me through my email. My email is chinedu@gouni.edu.ng. I thank the Vice Chancellor for giving me this opportunity and also my mentor, Monsignor Professor Obiaweke. Thank you very much.
That's the ICC manager of Godfrey Okoye University, Mr. Chinedu Chiboza. Well, thank you. Congratulate you on your delivery. You can see from the reactions that you've been doing well. A lot of questions and congratulations from different things from different participants. Well, thank you. I'm sure that you're going to get a lot of text messages or phone calls from different institutions. But just know that you have to do your work also in Godfrey Okoye University. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you, Prof.
Yeah, we have somebody join us from the UK, Brightspace online management platform. Please come on board. Just 10 minutes to give you a listen, 10 to 15 minutes. So we can round off this and take one or two questions before the closure. Brightspace, please.
Yep, thank you very much, Christian. So thanks everyone for the time today. My name is Israel Rosales, and as Anthony was mentioning, I work for Brightspace. So let me share my screen. We just want to he has been doing a great setup for what we're going to talk now. That is a specific example of an LMS proposal that we are working with universities. What you have here is what we do as a company, and it's transformed the way the world learns, because we really think that the only way you can really affect a country, as society, is through education. Education has that ripple effect. It will go like a snowball and will go through generations and will really increase and improve the quality of life of everyone at our society. So, I don't want to bore you with something about us. We have been 20 years in the market. We have like more than 1,300 different institutions working with us, both in online and face-to-face. And we have a great commitment with the African continent. In the call is my colleague, Leslie Viller from our local partner, Vision Consulting in South Africa. And we have been already working. We have customers in South Africa, and we have other institutions that we are talking with across the African continent in different aspects. We are helping, like, Agricologist International, a full online agricultural, college that is helping people in communities that need really to use education as something to progress in life. We are also helping the technical and vocational educational and training system in South Africa to go through the COVID, time. And we have just been awarded, as the new LMS for one of the biggest universities in South Africa. So our commitment with the continent is clear, and we are here to stay. Some points that Anthony was talking about that really reflects to us is what he was talking: worry-free technology, cloud system, software as a service, 24/7 support, so you can really rely on your platform. At the same time, we have to put the student first. We have to ensure that they can reach the platform, that they are not left behind. And we have to make the life of the teachers easier with tools that help them reach and enhance the success of their students. And of course, something that is very important that Anthony was mentioning is that we have to use analytics to improve the outcomes of our students. And we always partner with our universities to have lifelong relationships so we can really grow together. I'm just going to show you just a few views of our platform so you can take a look. For example, right now I'm a student and you can see how nice this looks. Okay, it looks like a system that really is encouraging and engaging them to go ahead and complete their courses. Something that he was mentioning, accessibility and mobility. You need a platform like ours that basically, if they are not accessing from their computer but from their cell phone, it renders correctly. So your students can access the whole content from any device, okay? Of course, we also provide apps that will help your students to work offline so they can download content, because we know that in South Africa, in Nigeria, in Kenya, in all the countries around the continent, a lot of the times your students, they don't have access all the time to an internet connection. So we are giving this possibility that with an app, they can access all the content offline, okay? That is also something that I want to highlight. And of course, we were talking that we can put PDFs, we can put PowerPoints, we can put documents here, but the idea is that we can create really immersive experience. You can see here an example of the type of content you can have in the platform, and you can see that it's really something engaging that help us not only to show text and images, but also to play around and to increase the experience of the student. As a teacher, what are we looking for? Well, we are looking for a platform that allows you to create all the content you want. If you want to create a discussion forum, if you want to have an assignment, if you want to use quizzes, as Anthony was mentioning, if you want to use a learning repository for all your content, you want to have virtual classroom, you want to use team meetings or Zoom, the platform can do it, okay? Of course, a platform that gives you as a teacher all the tools that you are expecting. So if you need to evaluate a paper, you can do it totally from your laptop, from your cell phone, from your tablet, even with the possibility of evaluating offline. You can use rubrics, you can give feedback in video, in audio, so we can really have a full online or a blended experience that is as good as the face-to-face one, okay? Of course, we can include also awards and gamification, so we can get and we can reach all our students in the best way. And very important, we can see the data behind, okay? We can use reports to really show our students and give the teachers the possibility to see all the data that they need. And even, for example, in the case of an student, see really what is all the interaction they are having, which content are they visiting, how long are they staying there? So we can really use this one. And as Anthony was saying, remember, a system that is 99.9999% of the time uptime. That is the uptime we have the last month, May. In the month that was the most demanding and critical month for e-learning, because everyone was using full online because of the virus, we have 99.9999. I don't want to extend further, okay, because I know that we are a little bit late, and I just wanted to show you some flavors. You have there some of our emails. You have my colleague saying that works with me. You have our partner in the region, Visions, with Leslie's email, and of course mine. So we are already in conversations with Anthony, but if anyone wants to know more, if anyone has any question, feel free to reach us. That way we can keep the conversation and we can show you more. I just have like 10 minutes to show you the key highlights. And there is a brand new there in case you want to really start using a next generation LMS platform, okay? So I keep it short, okay? So, so I think that we are back on time with the original agenda. So I don't know if there is any question or if we want to go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks very much indeed. Thank you for giving us the tape. Thanks very much indeed. We'll come back. So
Yes.
thanks very much. Let's remove the screen sharing.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Yes. Okay,
now? Thank you. Thanks very much. Yes. I think we've gradually come to the end of this important conference. I would like to thank each of you, the great panelists of this first Zoom conference of Gulf University, probably of Nigeria. I congratulate you, the person who took the first shot, Professor Monsino Obiorike. I thank you profusely. I thank you, the Director of Academic Planning of Gulf University, Mary Sylvia Nwachukwu. Thank you. The ICT boss of Gulf University, Chinedu Chuboza. Thank you. Professor Amele Kuen, thank you for your beautiful presentation. Maggie Kanchat, the great liaison officer of Gulf University, about thank you for your beautiful lecture. Professor Christoph Stuckeberger, the founder and president of Global Ethics, so thank you for being here, and Israel from UK and your team. Thanks very much indeed for your presentation. I know some of you would like to have some questions, but time is not on our side. Well, probably we can take 1 or 2 questions. You can indicate if you want to, just 1 or 2 questions so I can round off this, this conference. If there's any, otherwise we're going to send you everything. The ICT manager has already indicated that we're going to send you everything that we have had today. And so if there's any question, is there any that is present? Just text the question so that I know you have question this thing, question and answer. If there's any, you send it to us.
I think there was one question to Chinedu. If you could post your link, the link you mentioned earlier in your presentation, into the chat box, please.
Okay.
And Vice Chancellor, if you'll allow me, very importantly, to say that on 25th June, there is a global conference exactly around this topic on building new bridges together. And Godfrey Okoye University is an anchor from the African Continent institution, having now led with this kind of e-conference. And you, Mr. Vice Chancellor, it does look to me that you are also a speaker at this great event on 25th June. It will be very useful if listeners and participants just go to www.globeethics.net to find our network. You stand to gain and you stand to intensify the conversations already started. Good luck to every one of you. And thank you, Vice Chancellor, for being an innovator. GOU means go, university on the go, move on. Don't look back, just keep on moving. I do know that many big national public universities in Nigeria now have no college activity. Teachers do not use, they are not designed to key into the e-learning. But here is a private university already on internet learning, the same level with universities abroad, when we have the disadvantage that many others don't. The public institutions have to wake up and also put public resources to supporting even these private universities that are training the same citizens of our country. But these topics will be handled with international experts in our conference coming up on 25th June with an event already ahead. It's a public invitation. Don't lose out. You gain from it.
Very good. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Obiorike. There is a question here on practical-based courses and e-learning that is coming from our own Engwa. Engwa is asking about practical-based courses. How do you actually face the challenge of the practicality of the courses and the e-learning facilities? Maybe one of the disciplines can answer that. One of the panelists can actually answer that. And then somebody's talking about capital intensive nature of e-learning in Nigeria. You have everything is underfunded, and you have challenges of electricity and all that, I believe that Godfrey Okoye University is also a university in Nigeria. We have the same challenges, but we can actually do something in spite of the challenges we have. But I believe that
Vice Chancellor, I think the academic dean of Globe Ethics will address, for example, the matter of resources available for e-learning online, which, Amele, would you want to speak to that?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I was just responding to another participant's direct question, but I'm happy to address this question of resources. As for our organization, we see academic programs together with a whole package of different resources, reaching from an online library with a repository of different resources, publications, journals, research documents, and a publication house where indeed a series of publications are made available for the most part for free. For a broad audience. So this is also something that we can concretely offer and propose for collaboration.
May I also add a short remark on behalf also of the for the university. I think this online teaching has also can create some psychological problems, as we all know, and it is a debate now internationally also. I take an example of one of our sons who is a lecturer in Germany. He's in physics. He's not a theologian or ethicist, but he has to care now for his students who are in depression, for example. So I would suggest that the university also looks at the pastoral care part and the mental care part for students when they are for weeks isolated or mainly online in online teaching. It is not easy for some of them, and I think we have to take care of that too.
Thank you. Thanks very much indeed. The ICT manager, do you want to say anything on the practical side, practical courses, the challenges of teaching practical courses for the e-learning facilities we have?
Okay, when it comes to practical courses, teaching practical courses, we have two approaches to it. The lecturers can decide to come to the lab, pre-record a practical session, and have it on the platform, or invite students for a visual class where the lecturer performs the practicals and students will join. Because we all know that it's not possible to because of the online learning, but with this flexibility, it's possible for students to also learn their practical courses online. Thank you.
Thanks very much indeed. You've got invitation from our own Professor Moshiro Diorike. All roads lead to Geneva on the 25th of June. I'll be there myself. I'll be in Nigeria, but at the same time in Geneva. So I accept the invitation, and I would like all of you to join in this great conference to meet these great guys from Globe Ethics. We'll be there to listen to your presentation. I'll be doing whatever I want me to do there. So let me say thank you to all of you from Nigeria, from Africa, from the whole world. Godfrey Okoye University is grateful to you. Let us move on together. The world has not stopped because of COVID-19. The world is moving on. Everything must be moving on. That is the power we have as human beings. We can adapt to a new situation because our God is a God that's moving on every time. My Father is working and I am working. That's what the Lord says. So God has not stopped working because of COVID-19. So let us move on. Let us move on with all the things we are doing. Move on with our Senate meetings. Godfrey Okoye University has had a virtual Senate meeting, and we're going to have a governing council meeting, and we're going to promote our professors on Zoom and all that. So we're not stopping any activity. That is what the Lord is leading us, that we can actually move on in spite of challenges. I would like to express my profound gratitude to all the panelists once more, and to all of you who have attended this conference. I ask God to bless you and lead you to wherever you are going. You are at home, so I wouldn't say to lead you home, but to wherever you are going and in other activities. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you.
So I think with this, we come to the end of this conference. Thank you, and see you again when we have another opportunity to call you together. Thank you, and bye.
Bye.